All right, y'all. Today we're looking at this boudoir photography business. We're going to see if it's local search or if its city search has VSS. Also see if it's hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. Nice. So we're back here in the GBC universe. So we take declining boudoir photographers, make them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More of that and, like the pinned post or whatever, featured post on this profile. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So for rising, we're probably getting everyone across the entire intent spectrum, the intent ladder here. High intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And if a boudoir photographer, their business is falling, probably missing chunks of people here in the intent spectrum. So here we talk about way on the left, BSS. So we're focusing on the highest intent people, the people searching for boudoir photo shoots in their city right now on social media and in Google search. So closest to the money, easiest to close. And way over at the other end, that's the lowest intent people in our city. Got to reach them with interruption ads via Instagram and Facebook. Maybe they know what boudoir is. Maybe they've never heard of it. We got to educate them. And so that's what we talked about on our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We talked about BLCS. And right now we're only working with boudoir. Over there, we're only working with boudoir photographers, spending more than 10 grand per month on boudoir Facebook ads. All right, so boudoir search sameness, BSS, that's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google search for the highest intent keywords. So 0 slots, we're going to be dead soon if we got 0 slots on page 1. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never go past page 1. They're page 1 only. So that means approximately 20% go to page 2 and deeper. So we care about this 80%, the bulk of the market. This is who we're going to focus on. So if we got 0 slots, we're visible to 80% of the market, which means we're basically an invisible business. If we got 1 slot, we're still essentially invisible because we look the same as everyone else. If there's 10 organic slots page 1 on Google, if other peeps, if there's 9 other boudoir photographers than us, that means, we got 1 link same as everyone else, and a buyer's just going to go down page 1 Google search, control click, right click, open a new tab, everyone, shoot a message to everyone, get price quotes, compare pricing, and price shop, everyone on page 1. But if we can get more real estate on page 1 and fewer competitors on page 1, we actually get price shop last. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google is not normal. It's extremely common, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about, and the previously unknown root cause, which we now know, is actually the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, that's when someone gets a new phone, they are a new iPhone, they throw up their own Google My Business profiles, and then actually put the wall, they got their own website. They're trying to compete with us for page 1 Google supremacy. And as a result, we also got people getting a new camera, then they start posting in the mom groups on Facebook, and they also offer boudoir photography. So market saturation means more sellers to the same number of buyers. That's literally what it means. It means it's harder and harder for each seller to win. So everyone understands also big market saturation happened during COVID. People couldn't work, people lost their jobs, and they had to, big flood of boudoir photographers came into the market then because people had to, because they needed to earn money somehow. Now, the previously unknown root cause, the second one, is the false belief of page 1 equality. And what that is, so the default belief of page 1 equality, which kind of people automatically accepted, they didn't really think about it because there was no term to actually describe it, is actually kind of assuming or just accepting that, every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 on Google for their website, and if the market gets saturated, it pushes off page 1 to page 2, because some new websites ranking higher. Well, that's how it is, and that's simply how it is, whatever. That's the game, and hopefully someone deletes their website, so maybe we can get back on page 1 and Google lets us back in. But no, that is 100% false. That's a false belief, and we have to simply accept that. What I've discovered is Google will actually give us as many links and slots on page 1 Google search as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And I use this strategy that we're going to talk about to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google search in 10 days. So we'll talk about that in like 3 or 4 more pictures here. Next up, we know that Boudoir photographer with BSS, Boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing Boudoir photographer. So if we got 0 slots on page 1, we're on page 2, we're invisible to the 80%, approximately 80% bulk of the market. Disappearing Boudoir photographer, we got disappeared onto page 2. And if we're, one slot on page 1 of Google, then we're also disappearing because we're not visible. I mean, people don't see no difference between us and everyone else on page 1 of Google. Literally nothing different. And there's going to clicking price shop plus everyone down page 1. And again, approximately 80% of Google searches never even go to page 2. So we don't got to worry. We literally don't have to worry about page 1. And disappearing Boudoir photographer, basically it's the canary in the coal mine. If one becomes a disappearing boudoir photographer, pretty soon thereafter, the boudoir photography business will disappear as well. But now we have a solution. So we now know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology that we invented. And again, this is exactly the strategy, the methodology I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 in 10 days. And this is the only strategy for boudoir photographers that I've seen that can actually successfully fight back and against market saturation and continue to grow market share. And so it works by, and we'll go deeper into it, but the name, social search saturation. We saturate social search for our highest intent keywords. It's kind of like the feeder rivers, small feeder rivers from the Andes Mountains end to the Amazon. And kind of all that reputation, the keyword dominance on search flows into the Amazon River, page 1 Google search, and the pages thereafter for what we want to rank for. And so, yeah, this is the only thing that I've seen that successfully fights back against market saturation and basically kind of makes it null and void. Because imagine we're in Las Vegas, imagine there's 1 million boudoir photographers total, we're one of them. Everyone's got a boudoir photography website, everyone's trying to rank on Google, page 1 Google. But if we crank up S-cube methodology to the maximum, and let's say we rank, the first 300 slots across all social platforms for search, and as a result, we also rank the first 300 slots Google for search for the highest intent keywords for boudoir photographer buyers. Then anytime a buyer in our city literally searches anywhere, most likely Google, 90% of searches still, approximately 90% of searches still happen on Google. Then we got the first 300 slots and there's 10 organic slots per page. We got the first 30 pages all to ourselves for the organic slots. And all the other competitors in organic, they start on page 31. No one's going to page 31. So even if the market's ultra saturated with 1 million boudoir photographers, whose business is still growing? Ours. Whose business is disappearing? All the other boudoir photographers, because they cannot be found. And guess what? Approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only, which means we really only got to worry about page 1 and take as much, we say GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 is what we want to take. But, S-cubed methodology gives us a pathway to take as many slots on page 1 as we want, if we put in the effort to acquire those slots. Now, once treated with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. A bonus of this is every new slot we take on Google page 1 is we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. Again, that's because we actually know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And this is all we care about. This is the bulk of the market, the approximately 80% of searches that happen like this. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. Now, our GBC recommended is always to hit 3 out of the 10 slots on page 1, and that helps with boudoir search visibility because everyone else is going to have most likely 1 slot on page 1. So when they see 3 versus 1, when buyers see 3 versus 1, they're instinctively going to say, wow, why is Google recommending this person so many different times? I'll just go with this person that's got the 3 slots. There is a tiny, tiny, tiny chance that another boudoir photographer will have 2 slots, but in those tiny chances, our 3 slots will always overwhelm them. So that's why we want boudoir search visibility. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. We now know it's false, but when people believed it prior, they never thought to try a solution to overcome it because they thought it was just the default, just how it is. But we've proven, we'll see in the next picture, proven that that's incorrect. We now have the path, we now have the solution, our own proprietary S-cubed methodology to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and to have boudoir search visibility. So my results using S-cubed methodology for myself. So I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I employed S-cubed methodology. Go down to the organics here. So we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots, Google search page 1, in 10 days, exclusively using S-cubed methodology. And I was using on the minimum setting, like kind of the minimum, kind of the minimum frequency. So you can see the results that I got. So moving on to our main event here, we're going to check this boudoir photography business, see if it's got BSS for local and city search, even if it's in its GBC recommended minimum, 3 out of 10 page one slots. So let's go. All right, I'm going to Virginia Beach. All right, that's fine. So let's check this out. Virginia Beach. Boom, we got one. And boom, we got two. Okay. All right, so we got 2 out of 10 for local. So we do not have BSS, but we did not hit the GBC recommend minimum of 3 out of 10 slots. Page 1 on Google. All right, now we're going to go to our city search, Norfolk, Virginia. All right, so let's check this out. So let's see. Let's see if we got any here. No, all right, so we're at 0 out of 10. And yeah, city's always harder to rank for than local. So we're at 2 out of 10. Page 1, Google for local. So we don't have BSS for local, we do have BSS for city, but for both of them, we did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google for either of them. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer and you want to, so you've done the local searches, you've done your city search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, you're seeing you got 0 slots page 1 on Google, either one or both of them, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google for one or both of them, and you've accepted the belief, the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and you understand now that we can actually take as many page 1 slots on Google search as we want, and you see an S-cubed methodology is the only way, the only path for you to get you there, and you've been waiting for something like S-cubed methodology for a while, and you're liking the initial benefits, more slots page 1 on Google, and you really like kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1 on Google, making them invisible to approximately 80% of Google searches. You really like that one. Those initial benefits, sure. You understand the market saturation, yeah. New gear, new peeps, boudoir photographers entering all the time, getting more and more difficult over all the time. And you're seeing that you're actually looking ahead and you're seeing AI taking more and more people's jobs. And the last time that happened with COVID, people losing jobs, well, people still had to earn money. So they were actually forced to become boudoir photographers because, everyone's got a superpowered smartphone with a superpowered camera. So kind of the next natural thing, become boudoir photographer. And you see that's going to happen when a much bigger wave over the, as AI takes more and more people's jobs. So not only do you need these slots on Google, you actually need like so many backup links that Google wants to rank on page 1 for you, but there's not enough room, so they're ranking you page 2, 3, and 4. Like basically you need to fortify your positions on page 1 with like so many backup links that no current competing boudoir photographer ever has any chance to rank on page 1, nor any future competing boudoir photographer who came in because AI took their job, can ever have a chance of ranking on page one. And kind of like fortifying your position, kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, the lowest, because the city is actually below sea level. And you're seeing SQ methodology, the only thing that can help you fortify your position with so many backup links that are needed. You're also understanding that the SQ methodology, we're building up basically invisible thematic keyword columns around kind of attached to your brand name, business name, website name, social handles names, kind of like this whole, keyword cluster ecosystem in the back end of AI Mindshare. And every day we successfully execute SQ methodology and add to those invisible thematic keyword columns that we're actually increasing the probability we show up here in AI Overview, the most premium placement out there that we cannot pay for, and Google can recommend us here. We're also increasing the probability every single day of executing SQ methodology that AI search recommends us. So it's ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Increased probability showing up in those searches every single day. We successfully execute SQ methodology. And last time I searched for boudoir photographer in a city, it was with ChatGPT and it displayed 3. And I went and manually searched on Google and Facebook, and dude, there were like 60. So you're saying, and I was like, man, we gotta get part of these slots any way possible. So you're actually wanting to all those feature benefits as well as estimated 8x faster growing a large well-known brand, to further insulate yourself from market saturation. And you also understand that my current plan is to work with only one boudoir photographer per city. And as a result, you're seeing you can get all these benefits, and most importantly, build up so much kind of like back-end AI mindshare momentum with all these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to your brand and AI mindshare space, that you are able to build up a gap so large that basically no current competing boudoir photographer can ever reach you, nor any future competing boudoir photographer coming from AI, because AI took their job, can ever catch you. So you decide to be a first mover in your city, take advantage of this, because the converse, whoever a competing boudoir photographer actually signs on with me first in your same city, means we're going to be kicking you off page 1, maybe even page 2. You'll be resigned to page 3 or deeper. And we'll be fortifying them on page 1, so your chance of getting back up page 1 will be close to 0. And the boudoir photographers come from AI taking their jobs, their normal jobs, and they have become boudoir photographers. That's always going to keep increasing, so it may push you off deeper into further and further pages. And we'll actually be building up a massive gap of AI mindshare, back-end AI mindshare with all these invisible thematic keyword columns that will probably be too large for you to overcome. And for you to overcome that, you'd have to actually rederive SQ methodology by yourself. You'd have to derive it the first time, and you would never feel 100% confident you've derived it correctly the first time. Then you'd have to execute it every single day, same as us. But if you did all that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap, me and your competitor, that large gap, me and your competitor would have already built up against you. So in order to close that gap and to kind of pull that invisible thematic keyword column back into AI mindshare towards you, away from us, you'd probably have to double or triple our execution every single day. And it'll be difficult to put in that effort because, again, you're not going to feel 100% confident you've even derived the methodology correctly in the first place. And dude, who even has 80 days to do or 80 hours in a day to do all this stuff? So you're seeing all that and you're like, screw this. I'm actually going to be the first mover in my city, get the advantage, and lock out all my competitors from using this technology. So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed. The hospital's not currently accepting new patients. But when our DMs do open, then shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for utilizing S-cubed methodology.